What are we doing? Tea and Tales podcast. Okay, good start. Perfect.
Yeah, this is episode 7 of Tea and Tales, and I think the second one of 2024.
That's okay. It's August. The end of August.
Yeah.
Welcome in, everybody. It is episode 7 of the Tea and Tales podcast with your host, ReneeSky and BloodyDrongo. That's me. Hi. Welcome in. It has been a while since we last did one of these. It's the second episode of 2024. And it is the second half of the year. So this is your second annual installment, I believe.
Yeah. This is now a biannual podcast.
Yeah, apparently so, yeah. It's, look, I mean, we're both very busy, so it's, we'll do what we can.
I feel like because we're content creators who stream, I feel like every stream is a little podcast, and these are just like the general wrap-ups from both of us over the year. So maybe twice a year works.
You know what? That is so true. I mean, I spend so much time talking in my streams that it does sometimes feel like a bit of a podcast.
Oh,
just doing
yeah.
like Q&As with chat and stuff like that. Yeah.
Definitely. What have you been up to since I think like February we did one?
Yeah, I think it was around February. Well, I bulged a disc in my lower back, which sucked.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was just like a slow progression of just getting slowly slightly worse like each day. And I was like trying to stretch out my back and like I was like, oh, it's kind of sore until it just got to one day where I laid down on the floor just to like try and get some relief, and then I couldn't get back up again. And I was just like, oh, this is really bad. Okay, this might be a genuine problem here. And my partner came home and she's like, hey, what are you doing? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just in a bit of pain. My back's giving me some grief. And she was just like, oh, okay. And then she kind of went away and came back and she was like, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, no, I don't think I'm okay. She's like, should we go to the hospital? I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll be all right. It'll get better. And then like 2 hours later, eventually, after like 30 minutes of getting up and like, it was just awful. I was like, yeah, we need to go to the hospital. So,
oh my god. What did they actually do? Did they just try to like stretch it out?
no, so I went to the hospital and the only thing they did was give me some pain relief, which was not really that effective, to be honest. Which really sucked because I basically sat in the waiting room for about 4 hours
Oh my god.
waiting to be seen in just the worst pain, just like trying to sit as still as I could and just it was awful. Anyway, so since then I have been on a very strict regimen of mostly daily workouts, particularly working on strengthening my core and my lower back. And good news is I'm now better than ever. I'm basically unstoppable. I look, not to flex, but I can now bend over from the waist and touch my toes and get my fingers under my toes. I'm like, I don't think was ever able to do that, even as a young child. So, yeah,
I was impressed at like being able to bend over. I mean, we're in our 30s, like that is aces. And then you're like, I can put my fingers under my toes, and I'm like, hold up, I can't do that. That's amazing. Well done. Good on you.
Yeah, and as you commented on in the pre-broadcast, I've now invested in a sit-stand desk as well. So that has been part of my plan to not be sitting quite as much.
Honestly, yeah, I literally did a Patreon post about this today. But I started working again full-time back in March, and that's added 40 hours of like, I call it butt in seat hours, because my job is all online. It's all digital, it's all remote. So like I am in this room minimum 8 hours a day, every day now, every day of the week.
Yeah.
And that has caused like a real issue. The meat of the Patreon post today was basically explaining a shift in my mentality that's happened because of a shift that's happened in my physicality, which is that because I've sat down so much, I have put on a lot of weight. And it has taken me a really long time to address it because I feel like I've regressed. I used to be a bit of a bigger gal back in around 2017, around then or so. I was definitely a bit bigger than I am now, still, thank God. And then I really only was able to address it when I left traditional full-time work and started streaming full-time, and then I had all the hours in the world to go to the gym and meal prep and everything like that. And I wasn't quite as sedentary as I am now, but basically I got a full-time job again, and then straight away, same issue. And it's because we just have to sit so much, and it's just so unnatural. I genuinely despise it. So it's taken me a little while to come around, but I've finally been like, it's time to start addressing this. It does suck that I've taken some huge steps back in my fitness journey. This time last year, I was the fittest I've ever been. I was incredibly lean. I had great muscle definition. I was hitting PRs at the gym. I had surgery and I was on my feet that night.
Yeah.
Like I just bounced back from anything medical. And then I think it was a combination of getting recurring tonsillitis at the end of last year. So I was getting tonsillitis every 2 weeks for 3 or 4 months last year. And they just put me permanently on antibiotics to fix that. And it destroyed my body. And I was also told by my doctor to not go to the gym because my body was actively, constantly fighting off infections.
Yeah, right.
So he's like, you can't lower your immune system anymore. And all of that. So that got me out of the gym habit. Then I started full-time work. Then we released Manor Lords. So I was stress eating and working 60-hour weeks. And all of a sudden I'm 32. So my metabolism's like,
yeah,
well, we'll process food in 5 to 7 business days. Check back, maybe.
yeah.
So I've finally gotten to the point where I'm like, enough is enough. It doesn't matter if I feel shit about having regressed. The fact is that I have regressed and it needs to be addressed. My feelings don't matter about that. It just needs to be taken care of. So I'm back to doing that again. But part of my solution is a walking desk like setup. So I bought a little treadmill last week.
Okay, yep.
It'll arrive in about a month or so.
Oh yeah, I've thought about getting one of those as well. Actually,
I can send you a link if mine is good. When it arrives, I'll do like a little tech review for you, and I'll post it across. And if you like it, I'll send you the link. So that'll arrive, and then I'm saving up for my standing desk. But my goal is to be able to just walk throughout my workday, because the fact that I have to be in this room for 8 hours a day is not going to change. Like I'm hoping that my job with Hooded Horse continues for a very, 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 very long time. So I'm probably going to be in here for the foreseeable future. And sitting on my ass is the most unnatural thing humans do, I think. Actually, I can think of a few others. But sitting down for like 40 hours a week is just garbage. And it's absolutely, I think, just unsustainable for modern working life. And it's not really being addressed, which is crap. Like... Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought us sitting static for 8 hours a day with calorie-dense food easily available was a good idea? Of course we have a health crisis.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is probably also a good segue into kind of talking a bit about probably one of the biggest changes for you, right, is that you have started full-time employment, because that wouldn't have happened in February, was it? That was only a few months ago now.
I was just about to move house, I think, the last time we did this. So
that's right. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, in the space of 4 weeks, I moved house, and like finalized the lease and everything. Which, if anyone has ever rented before, you'll know that finalizing a lease is just the worst time in the world. It genuinely should be punishable by law. And then I also started a new job with Hooded Horse. 4 or 5 weeks before Manor Lords came out. That was, they definitely chucked me in the deep end, but lovingly so. Like, they chucked me in, but then I had a bunch of people standing around the outside of the pool being like, you can do it, you're doing great, how you feeling? And I was just kind of doggy paddling for my life. But I learned a lot in a really short time, and frankly, like, I thrive under stress. What I struggle with is when stuff's a little bit slow, when we're between game releases, and then I'm like, oh no, I need the adrenaline, I need the stress to thrive. Don't tell my therapist, she'll say it's unhealthy, but I love it. I love being like balls to the wall, stressed out, flat out, doing overtime. That's where I live. So yeah, but it has been it's definitely been a big change. And that was also one of the points that I addressed in the Patreon post today, that it's actually made me appreciate my free time even more.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm sure that you will back me up with this, but full-time content creation is awesome if it's structured, if your day is structured. And I think I lost sight of that. At the end of my full-time content creation, I think I lost the drive to be as structured as I needed to be to do everything. And so adding 40 hours a week onto something I need to get done by an outside entity has made me review what I spend time on, how I spend each hour, basically. And I have become incredibly fiercely protective of my weekends.
Yeah.
The Saturday night stream is gone for the first time since I started streaming. I streamed every Saturday night for 4 years. I ditched that because I was like, if I'm going to be working a full-time job during the week, I want a full weekend to go with it.
Yeah.
And having those 2 full days of absolute disconnect, no work, no stream, no content creation. I do a bit of video editing, maybe a bit of writing if I need to, but no, like weekends are me time. And I actually have things that I want to do on those weekends now, like go out to wineries or just sit and read outside or take the dog for a walk, and those are things that I genuinely enjoy and don't feel the drive to monetize them.
Yeah.
Which is the content creator curse.
That is, yeah. Every time you pick up something new that you're like, oh, I like this, it's like, people, and you tell people about it, they're like, oh, we would love to see that. And you're like, okay, well, maybe I could monetize this. And like, no. Some things are okay just being able to be enjoyed just for you.
Yeah.
And that is pretty important.
Definitely. I have become really addicted to like PlayStation 5 games because I know I'm too lazy to haul the PS5 up here and get a capture card working. So I'm never going to stream them.
Yeah, okay.
But I love sitting on the couch, like crisscross applesauce, and just playing games like all cozy with a controller. And there's distance between me and the screen, so I don't need to wear my glasses. And I can have a little snack sitting next to me or like a little drink, and I can just game. And I can lean back on the couch so my shoulder doesn't hurt like it does when I sit at my desk for too long.
Yep.
And it's so cozy and I love it. And I'm very addicted to Dredge at the moment. Dredge and Dragon's Dogma 2 have become my games.
I've heard Dredge is very good.
Oh, have you not played it?
No, I haven't. I've watched a decent amount of it, but I've not played it. It's one of those things where there's just so many pretty good indie titles out there at the moment, and there's only so many hours in a day for both me to play games in my own spare time and also to play games on stream too. So
yeah,
it's really hard sometimes to actually find the time, and kind of everything in my mind, everything goes onto a list. And then I'm like, well, do I feel like playing this game? Yes, no. Oh, okay, I do feel like playing this genre. What am I picking from? And then what directory on Twitch is doing well if I'm streaming it?
Yeah.
Like what's that's kind of like the thought making processes at a high level is like,
I remember
so
those
much
days.
Choice.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. But I would highly recommend it as like a console game. I don't know if you have any consoles.
I don't, but I do play games on the PC with a controller. So.
Okay, that's something. It's more like the couch aspect. Like, it's just cozy to be in another room that's not your studio or your office where you make streaming content. It's more sitting on the couch in the living room, and it's a different vibe. It's the way that I've started enjoying gaming again, because it really died off for me a lot.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Because, I mean, I have like a whole array of genre of games that I just enjoy pretty much exclusively off stream. And that was kind of like the mental divide for me. It wasn't so much a physical disconnect. It was more of a genre disconnect, because a lot of the games I play on stream are in the sort of like survival, sandboxy, city building sort of genres. And that's kind of where my core focus is. So off stream, I'll play things like, first person shooters, or racing games, especially. I love racing games. And those are kind of where I kind of have that, oh, this is for me sort of space. And that I always really look forward to playing that. Recently, I've been playing a lot of Magic Gathering Arena, which is a dangerous road for me to be going down, but here we are.
Nice, good on you. No, I know what you mean about like offline gaming. For me, it's like story-driven RPGs. So Dragon Age Inquisition and Mass Effect. I will never stream those because people have usually seen the content like a million times, and I'm not like the right streamer for that. I don't think. I love my city builders and I love my strategy games. So I don't think I literally had someone ask me last night on stream actually, would I do like a story RPG? And I'm like, I did one back in like the highlight of my streaming days, which was like 2021. I did Shadow of Mordor, and I feel like I kind of got away with that because it was like swords, medieval, which is kind of like my thing a little bit because of Bannerlord. And the combat is fantastic, but as for like the story elements in it, I started playing Shadow of War, with the sequel to Shadow of Mordor.
I never finished that.
The story of Shadow of War is so garbage to begin with that I switched it off
weak.
on stream. It's weird. It actually almost encouraged me to make another YouTube channel breaking down how not to make a sequel.
Yeah, right.
I was offended on a deeply personal level by the story or lack thereof of Shadow of War.
Yeah. I think with the first like playthroughs of RPGs especially, I think there's two primary niches that you can kind of go down as a content creator that are usually fairly effective, and that is like the first time playthrough, because people who are veterans of that genre or of that game usually like to watch content of people reacting to their game, because it kind of feels like, oh, you know, I feel connected to the first time I got to experience that. I get to see that emotion reflected in someone else, which is really nice. But also people who are experts in that particular RPG, people who are doing specific challenge runs and stuff like that. Because like you kind of touched on there, people have seen these games a lot. If they're a fan of the genre, if they're watching it regularly on Twitch, they've seen it 100 times. So doing what you can as a content creator to try and be different somehow, whether that just be by the virtue of not having played it before or by doing something different that will have quite specific different outcomes or different challenges as part of that, will make it more appealing, because otherwise you're just kind of left in no man's land.
Exactly. I genuinely loved your playthrough of Skyrim when you had your little companion and she was like hella sassy with you. Like, I was following you from like all the clips you were putting on TikTok. That was excellent. That was a fresh twist on Skyrim, which has been done to death. There's probably got to be like the black hole of like the category, I guess, like traffic on Twitch. It's like, who's watching Skyrim these days?
It's weird because like I think there's in the genre, like Bethesda genre, there's a lot of people that are like really like pro Skyrim. They love Skyrim. They think it's great. And then there's people that are like, oh no, Oblivion is where it's at. And then you've got people like, no, Morrowind is where it's at. Yeah. And like, there's like very strong opinions that kind of divide that up. But specifically Skyrim, I don't know if it's because it's had so many releases or what, but it still has like quite a decent longevity on Twitch. And even when I wasn't doing like my AI Herika playthrough, I was doing permadeath, survival mode, master difficulty, Skyrim in there. And that still, like, for me, performed really well. And it's because the stakes were high. I was playing it in survival mode, which not a lot of people have done in their playthroughs because it is kind of a pain in the ass. And it was just a different way of experiencing the game, and we had to strategize and overcome certain areas because they are so hard. Like the not the Thalmor Embassy, the Thalmor Embassy in Skyrim, where you have to break into there and like kind of stealth through the embassy and get to the end and all that stuff. That is so hard on master difficulty, and like we had to strategize and time our like progression through, and that was like one of the big run killers for us. And you can progress through that game fairly quickly if you know what you're doing, and it was just a great game to kind of go in and have multiple attempts to try and beat it on this just silly challenge. No,
No, you make a really, really good point because I'm doing a run of Banished at the moment, the classic
Hmm.
indie city builder.
Yes.
People love Banished. Like every
Yeah.
time I stream it, I get people coming and being like, "Oh my god, someone's streaming Banished." I'm like, "Yes." And plot twist, I'm actually really good at Banished. I don't say that I'm good at many games. I
Yes.
think I'm okay at games like Bannerlord, just because of the amount of hours I've sunk into them, but also because I stream them, I have to be really good at only half looking at Bannerlord because with the
Yes.
other eye I'm reading chat. But Banished is just one of those games that I don't know. I can play pretty well. So we're doing a hard mode run at the moment,
Hmm.
and the amount of people that come in being like, I'd love to play this, but I just can't get my village started. And
Yeah.
so this is one of the only games that I feel like I can come at an angle from. Okay, well, the things that you really want to focus on and make sure that you're doing is X, Y, and Z. It's one of the few games that I would say that I could actually give advice on
Yeah.
properly. And so people like to see content creators who are competent in their genre, and this is a new feeling for me.
Okay. All right. Um, I will choose not to be baited into a conversation about negative self-talk, and I'm just going to shake my head disapprovingly at you and allow you to continue.
Okay. I thought you were gonna segue into book stuff because we've got an hour today, so
Mm,
we can't do my normal ramble of like, what
yeah.
was your
Well,
favorite book as a kid?
yeah, okay. Let's talk about something else that you are actually competent in, because that is probably the other thing that
What a
uh
segue!
yeah, I
Oh my
know,
god!
right? Well, professional, by the way. The the other thing that's probably been one of the big news pieces of this year is Beast of London
Yeah.
as well, which has come out as of a month ago now. Was it a month?
June, dude.
Was it
June
June?
21st. It was
You
June.
shut up. That is, where is this year gone? I am
No,
so
no.
angry.
I know. Don't worry, I'm exactly the same. We missed the month anniversary of it coming out because time just went too fast, and I felt so bad. I had to message John, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. Normally, we'd do like a slew of social media posts, being like, it's been a month. What do
Mm,
you think? Please review the book. We just completely forgot because like we finished Beasts of London, and it came out, and then I think we went straight into other projects. Because we do have a second book coming out this year, which is his Throne of Embers.
hmm.
So y'all can leave me alone. It is coming out. Like it I don't know if there's like I don't know, crazy juice in the water at the moment, but everywhere I look, I am being vilified for the sequel to Her Crown of Fire taking too long to come out. And in the most random spots.
Okay,
So,
right.
number one, okay, I'm going to rank this from least weird to most weird
Okay,
places
let's
that
do
I've
it.
been
Tier list.
accosted. Tier list. First of all, stream, most boring, predictable place. Every single stream, someone comes in. When's the sequel
That's
coming
like
out?
D tier.
I know, right? Place two is my Discord.
Okay, yeah,
Pretty
that's
standard.
pretty standard. C tier.
Pretty standard stuff, right? Then I get some YouTube comments occasionally.
Okay, that is a little bit more niche, going out of their
Mhm.
way. It's not your primary platform, I would say. So it's like, yeah, that's B tier, B tier. Okay.
Well, I'm just impressed that they know what a book is. And then,
Okay, fair.
oh
Fair.
shit, this goes on YouTube.
This
Whoops.
does go on YouTube, so anybody watching this right now, just know that you have been roasted, and please leave your thoughts accordingly down in the comments of this video.
Yeah.
Please, thank you. Wonderful, thank you.
Then I got an email sent to an old email address of mine being like, hey, I read your book, A Crown of Fire, 5 years ago. I can't find the sequel. Where is it?
Hold on, wait, so it was an old email of yours, so not even your current
Yeah.
one?
Not even one of my current ones. It must still be floating around out there on the site back from like when I was more an author than a streamer. So literally before I started streaming.
Oh,
Because I was big in the writing community
wow.
from about 2011 onwards. So
Mm,
someone out there found a way to contact me, and Ad just sniped me. This is like an email address that I use for like verification codes and stuff like that as like a back or a spam
okay.
email. And so I was
Right.
going through it looking for a code, and there was this sneaky little email sitting in there, basically just going H2 when. The
Okay,
next
A
place,
tier. A tier.
A
That's
tier.
strong. That's strong. That is very niche, very weird. Love it.
Okay, did you know on Goodreads that you can ask authors questions?
I did not know that. No,
Neither did
that
I
is new
until
information to me.
someone asked me where the fuck my sequel was.
Okay, well, there you go. S tier, all the way. Like, even the authors didn't even know this was possible. And this person is just out there paving the way, setting the new meta. Where is my sequel, author? Get it together.
The last one, which I think might have to be S tier, and also does segue us into something else I wanted to talk about today, was on a Reddit post.
Okay.
On
Right.
a post about a big sale that just happened over the last couple of days. We participated in the Naruto Indie August sale. It was a lot of fun, and they posted about it in a book subreddit called R Fantasy to be like, hey, there's this sale going on, like get in there and have a look. And I was like, oh, look at these. And I was scrolling through the comments because people had done like recommendation lists, and I was looking for book recommendations. And then there's this comment that's like, oh, cool, Her Crown of Fire is in here. I didn't mind that one. Sequel's taking ages though. And I'm like,
wow, the low-key roast. I love that. That's so good. That's so good.
I'm trying. It's a really difficult book to write. And it was, I just want to put this on record for anyone that hasn't heard this like fragment of information. It was actually completed at the start of 2023. It had to undergo massive structural changes due to feedback that I got. So the book was finished nearly 2 years ago. Just want that on the record.
So what you're saying is that it's not your fault. It's the people that read it wrong, and then you had to make changes because of them. That's what I'm hearing right now. That's what I'm picking up. Yeah.
If people hadn't been bad at reading, y'all would be pestering me for book 3.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. No, but that's super exciting. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
I know, like, it's been I think it's a long journey. I think we were talking the other day about the fact that this will be going into the 4th year now for Sky Nation Publishing. Yes. And that is that's a pretty reasonable milestone for any kind of publishing company, let alone a small indie one. So
it's not bad. And we're up to 3 print titles and 1 audio title. So I think that's a bit of a win. That's like a major project every year. 2022 saw the Her Crown of Fire audio drama start up and Tales of Ale and Chainmail come out. So that was a bit of a nuts year. We also ran the Kickstarter for the audio drama during that time. That took up a massive chunk of company resources, which we will never do again.
Yeah.
And as an update on Her Crown of Fire, like it is definitely still in the works. It's all just production stuff at the moment, and we don't really want to drop any episodes until we've got a few banked up ready to go. So if you are wondering why we keep talking about it, there's new episodes coming, it's because we just want to make sure that we've got some ready to go and not just drop one and then have to wait another year. Episode 13. So don't worry, there is stuff in the works. We fully intend to finish this project, so it's good. We're doing that as well as everything else right now.
And I think that's the interesting thing, right, is that with a lot of these sorts of projects, like there is so much learning to be done along the way. Like it's hard to really understand the scope and the work that goes into a lot of these things when you pick up the final product. Like even just with like the audio drama specifically, like I don't know how many people specifically are involved in that project, but it's a lot. It's a lot of people, and that is like herding cats. And a lot of them are content creators, and anybody who's worked with content creators, including content creators, will know that trying to work with content creators is like, it is impossible. Like everybody has different time zones, everybody's very different schedules, everybody has very different work ethics. And some people, are just not always on. Like they'll just switch off because they need that, and they will.
Disgusting.
It can be really hard to manage.
Be able to contact people 24/7.
Yeah, 100%. That's a reasonable expectation.
I think so. I think the number of actors and production staff in Her Crown of Fire right now is getting up towards 50.
That's outrageous.
So yeah, it's disgusting. If I could do the audio drama again, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I know you guys love it, but it is so resource hungry and there is no return on investment. 0 return on investment.
Yeah.
We've started this and I'm determined to finish it. but I don't know if we'll do something of this caliber again. I've had a few people asking for a Beasts of London audio version. And I think what we'll do for that, as much as I would love to hear like the world of Beasts of London brought to life with a fully voice acted cast, I think we will go the traditional route of one narrator doing an audiobook popped on Amazon.
Even just having like one or two people managing like something like that is just so much easier. Like as soon as you add in more and more people, it gets exponentially harder. And I think that, at least from me, from my side, like outside looking in, I think that's probably one of the big things that we've kind of taken away from this is that like, okay, if we get a whole bunch of people involved, yeah, sure, we can make something really high quality, hopefully. But my God, is it going to be a nightmare to try and actually organize and try and get a finished product out of.
More people does not equal more better.
Yeah, 100%.
It breaks my heart because like when we do get to work on it, when I finally do manage to chase down actors and accost them with the script that they've had for 3 weeks, and I say, here's your time for your recording session, get in the booth. And then we actually sit down and we do the work. It's great. I love it. The actor loves it. Our audio engineer loves it. It's just scheduling. It's just killing us. It's just so hard. Everyone's got their own life, their own content. Some of them are in uni. They've got assignments due. It's just a mess. Like, but I'm determined to get this project done. And I will. And then no more. Just books.
Yeah, fair.
Maybe a cheeky screenplay from time to time, but no more audio dramas.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. Well, we've learned that lesson the hard way, but we've learned it nonetheless, and that is the important thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Would you like to walk us through what you and I had a meeting about 2 weeks ago? Last week? Was that only last week? Oh my gosh, it was.
Are we talking about that specifically? Like opening? Yeah. Okay, cool. So we will be, we'll be opening up submissions later this year for sci-fi novels. We would like to add a sci-fi novel to the roster of Sky Nation Publishing, so we'll be opening submissions for that for 1 month.
6 weeks, and we're opening it for everything, but we'd really like a sci-fi. That comes with little golden asterisks on it if you submit a sci-fi to us. But if there's a cheeky fantasy in there that we really love or historical fiction, like we're not gonna say no. But sci-fi seems to be where it's at this year. I'm fanging for a good sci-fi. Oh
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had this talk. I'm a massive sci-fi reader. I love sci-fi books. And that was like, for me, like growing up, it was sci-fi and fantasy. Those were the two great loves. And like for me specifically, Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that was probably the biggest influence on my personal sense of humor. Like it's just so dry and just so, it's just so well done and tied together. I just love it. So
yeah. For me, it was Animorphs. I would say that Animorphs is sci-fi.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Animorphs is great. It is very, very good. But I only ever had like 1 or 2 Animorphs novels. I feel like we're now circling back to the very first episode of Tea and Tales now, where we talked specifically about Animorphs being great.
I'm not upset about that because I frequently get tagged in your Discord of someone mentions Animorphs and someone's like, tag ReneeSky, quick, get her in here.
That is true, yeah. Everybody knows that you're a Animorphs fiend.
I love Animorphs so much. And I've started watching The Rookie on Netflix.
Okay.
I don't know why the writers of The Rookie are allergic to story structure, but someone really needed to run those scripts through QA. That's a whole nother rant. I'll leave that for another time. But one of the main characters in that, I kept looking at her and I'm like, you are so familiar. Who are you? And he was Jake from the Animorphs show back in like the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's doing well for himself. He on Netflix now. What a Chad.
Small world.
Yeah.
Okay, good on him. That's awesome.
I know.
I wonder what he's done in between there, because that is a big jump.
X-Men.
No shot. Okay. Well,
he was in like the first X-Men as hang on, I don't remember which one he was. He was Rogue's boyfriend or something.
Oh.
You know Rogue has like the white streak in her hair and she can't touch anyone? Yeah, he was her boyfriend. I think I could just be talking out
Is
of
that
my ass right now.
Cyclops? Am I remembering that correctly? The one with the glasses and the laser eyes? Is that her
I'm
boyfriend?
IMDbing it.
I'm probably going to upset a lot of people who are actually a fan of this franchise because I will admit I have seen these movies, but I don't particularly care for them. It's not like something I'm like, oh yeah, that's up my alley.
So the actor we're talking about is Shawn Ashmore, by the way.
Okay. I would never in a million years been able to tell you his name.
Well, there's a picture of him looking at Rogue looking annoyed, so I'm going to say boyfriend. He was Bobby in X-Men 2000,
Okay.
and then in X-Men The Last Stand in 2006, and X-Men X2 X-Men United in 2003.
Wow, okay.
So, our boy's been living large.
Yeah.
He's the voice of Timmy in Sons of the Forest. Oh, my brain. I didn't know Timmy had a voice. Okay.
Okay, well, that's news to me as well, because what?
Welcome to episode 7 of Tea and Tales, where we go on a tour of IMDb, which is totally different from all the other episodes.
I'm just trying to remember, like, when I played Sons of the Forest, and I don't remember Timmy speaking at all. Did Timmy speak?
Does Timmy speak is going to be the title of this episode.
It's like, we both just like, wait, what?
Imagine being like, oh my god, I got the job. I'm the voice in, like, the follow-up to the hit niche classic, The Forest. I'm going to be the voice of the main character. You get your script, it's a fucking page. Just a page.
Yeah, imagine that, dude. Well, admittedly, I haven't finished it, but there you go. I'm surprised.
Actually, neither have I. So now there's going to be some smart ass in our comments being like, Timmy has like a monologue at the end of the game.
Actually, I think you'll find in the last 20 minutes, there is 15 minutes of Timmy dialogue. Please, podcasters, pay attention.
I don't know where that came from, but I wanted to go back where it came from.
Oh, dude, that look, I'll have to shout out my boy Simcopter1. He's set the new meta for making fun of actually people on the internet, and I am so here for it, and I have definitely adopted it.
I'm very proud of you. But anyway, to wrap up, we're opening submissions.
Right, yes, sorry, yeah, back to onto topic. Yes, opening
that was
submissions for a new novel that we'll be looking for to publish hopefully in 2025.
Hopefully in 2025, but I think that's going to be a really big year for us. So we are hoping, and this is a Tea and Tales exclusive right here. We're hoping to get the sequel to Beasts of London out next year. We've also got maybe potentially one of mine coming out late next year. Another one that's not related to the Molten Crown series. Thank God. It's my first adult book that I've ever written, and no, it's not the erotica.
Adult?
Delete the comments you were starting to write. I'm not doing spice. I'm not doing smut. I also get that every stream. You're like, why don't you write smut? Because it's no good.
And fair enough.
I'm no good at it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I feel like it's a specialized art.
It definitely is, and I don't think it should be undertaken by someone who was laughed at her editor for trying to write a fade to black romance scene. Like, if she laughed at a fade to black scene, they're gonna laugh at specifics.
Okay, right,
so,
yeah. Because I feel like look, I'm not a prolific smut reader, but of the smut that I have read, I feel like you have to be able to be very, very. You have to be able to describe the same things, but in very different ways.
And not in ways that are going to take people out of the moment.
Yeah, which is a delicate balance sometimes, right?
I don't think it's actually possible. I think people just love making memes out of erotica and posting them on like TikTok.
I don't know. I definitely know some unironic smut lovers.
That's true. So do I.
Also, potential podcast name: unironic smut lovers.
It'll get the clicks.
Oh
Sex
my
sells,
goodness.
Buddy. Yeah. So, anyway, there's another novel of mine coming out next year that's not smut.
Not smut.
Stop asking.
Not smut. Stop asking.
I cannot write it, so please stop asking. Nobody wants to read that. No one sure as shit wants to put any time into writing it. and then maybe potentially our new submission that we open up next year. So it's three books. Seeing as we're going after 2 this year, I think 3 is a natural progression now that we're starting to streamline some of our processes. We have quite a few more people involved in the company than we did this time last year, yourself included.
Yes, I've been a bit more involved over the last year, which has been good.
Yeah, and we've also got our junior editor Lydia, who's joined us, and we've got our finance officer Ash, who has just been saving us because I nearly ran this thing into the ground several times because I can't do maths.
Yep. That's
not a single word of no, you're fine, you did great. Just you did nearly.
I mean, look, I mean, it's just one of those things where I think every small business owner kind of goes through that really hard learning of just being like, okay, I need people to be around me that have more specialized knowledge than I do, and have the ability to kind of rein me in and give me perspective that I don't have on ideas. And, you know, I think that's a very natural part, and that you either learn that lesson or you fail. Like, that's literally kind of the at least in my experience working with small businesses, that's kind of usually the 2 outcomes. Is you either, okay, go, all right, I'll kind of take my hands off the reins a little bit and let people kind of delegate out and take other people's input on, or this ship is going down and I am stuck to the helm all the way.
Oh, I just know which one of those archetypes I identify with. And water is filling the cavern. No, I'm doing better at like delegating and giving up some form of control, because I'm starting to trust that there are people who just know certain areas of business much better than me, which is a really nice feeling to have. I feel very grateful to have people that I actually trust to take work off my hands now and not create more work for me. Yeah, there was something else I was going to say with the company. Oh, we're getting ready to do our annual readership survey. So some listeners may remember we did a readership survey last year where people that filled it out got a little voucher to spend on the website, and mainly that information, that data is really, really helpful to us. The survey is going to be structured a little differently this year, and it's just so that we can properly analyze the results and make better use of it. So just keep an eye out for that. We're not going to be it's not going to be in your inbox or anything, but it will be more like hey, if you feel like taking some time to help us out, very, very short survey of just like what you like to read, how much you've been spending on books, that kind of thing. Yeah,
I'll also share that over on my Discord when we actually do that as well. So any of my listeners from my community, keep an eye on Discord for that.
We'll keep it open for a little while so people don't feel rushed, but it's beyond helpful to us because we can kind of assume a lot of data. We can extrapolate from like purchases that have been made on our site, but to get people actually answering those questions is so helpful to us 100%. To plan our budget, to structure our release schedule. It even dictates which books we will and will not sign, or what we kind of look for in submissions. So keep that in mind, that your feedback and your intel is really what's helping shape us as a young voice in the Australian publishing industry, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, 100%. Very cool.
And on that note as well, we did just finish up a big sale. We just participated in the Narrates Indie August sale that finished up this morning, I think. Time zones are fun. And so we were part of like 300 to 350 other indie authors and publishers that put their books on sale for it. And it was just, I'm going cards on the table. I wasn't expecting it to be so well organized. They did an amazing job. So what really impressed me is that every book that signed up, they made individual graphics for. So 350 individual graphics with like our book cover, and like the 1-sentence blurb you give them, and then like obviously their little like, it's happening in this sale from these dates. It looks really nice, really clean. They just distributed it to everyone like well ahead of time so we could plan our content schedules. Like obviously they know what they're doing. And it was so appreciated. I sent a message to the organizer of the sale and we're just like, well done. That's seriously really good. And we're definitely going to be participating in the next one, which will be held in April. And I'm hoping that we'll have a few more books to submit by then as well. So it was really great. We made a couple of sales. More importantly, we had fresh people coming through the website and just learning of our existence. And I bought some books, not many.
That was all you did on stream last night, wasn't it? 2 hours, all just buying books the whole time. I was lurking there, by the way.
Oh, I was gonna try and lie.
I just realized I was like, oh, wait, I don't think I actually said hi, but I was watching you just like, we are buying books. We are buying books. Let's buy some books.
I was gonna try and lie and say no, I didn't. I only bought 20.
Only 20.
They were like 99 cents.
Okay,
So
I mean that's pretty reasonable, to be fair. Yeah.
Well, they were free to $1.99, and I think I bought more 99-cent ones than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So my Kindle is stacked right now.
You're gonna have some quality downtime with those.
I am. I'm gonna sit in my egg chair. I'm just gonna enjoy the 35 degrees it's gonna be on Saturday here in Brisbane winter, which is, I think it's 89 point something Fahrenheit for our American listeners, and it's still officially our winter. So I don't know how that's happened, but are you doing the math in your head for
this winter's been a little weird because I mean it hasn't gotten, at least near me, it hasn't gotten ultimately as cold as we would normally expect, but it also has been pretty consistently on the chillier side.
We got really cold. We got very, very cold for suburban Brisbane. It was
which is
down
like 20 degrees Celsius or something.
It was getting to single digits, and we had some days. Yeah,
in Brizzy? Jeez.
Yes.
Okay, wow, single digits Brisbane. That is actually cold for your way. Yeah.
It is. Our houses aren't made to retain heat.
No.
So
Well, I mean,
cold.
That's the thing, right? Is like when Australians complain about winter being cold, it's because I think the World Health Organization did a survey of all the different houses in the world and their inside temperatures, and Australia ranked consistently the lowest average temperature in winter.
Really?
Yeah, I think the average for New South Wales was 16 degrees Celsius in winter, so which is below the World Health Organization's recommended. And the lowest average temperature was, I believe, Tasmania, which was like 13, I think. Degrees Celsius in winter, which is like it's ridiculous. And like I know for me, like where I am in Australia, it gets pretty cold here. Like we usually get a couple of snowfalls a year. We're pretty routinely in the single digits. And like my office will be, I don't know, like when I wake up and the heating's not on, like it'll be like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 degrees in here. Like it's like I can see my breath.
Like I'd believe you.
It is
Definitely.
Chile. And it's really funny because like every year coming into winter for the first point, I see on like TikTok and social media, because one of my morbid fascinations is like looking online and seeing like Americans and Canadians and like kind of their first impressions of Australia. It's just kind of like an interest of mine. So my algorithm is geared towards this. And so at the start of winter specifically, there'll be a massive influx of like people that are just moved to Australia or are tourists in Australia at the time of winter going, I'm from Norway, I'm from Canada, I'm used to cold temperatures, but I have never been as cold as I am in my life here in Australia this winter. I don't understand. It's like, bro, yeah, it's because our houses suck. Like,
no, our houses just made to shed heat. Like this is what they're for, and that's like why I never make fun of anyone in the UK when they're like, "Oh, it's so hot today." I'm like, "Yeah, probably is." Yeah. Number one, you're not used to it. Number two, you don't have the infrastructure to deal with it. Number three, your house is designed to hold on to every ounce of heat that it can.
100%.
So it probably doesn't really suck over there for them.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's one of my pet peeves is people one-upping about the weather. I can be like, wow, it's really hot here in Brisbane today, and I'll get someone be like, you think it's hot? I live on the surface of the sun, 2,800 degrees Kelvin, baby, and it's not even hot. Like, yeah. I don't care. Like, we don't have the same frame of reference. I live here, and I'm cold.
It's amazing how quickly you can get acclimatized to different temperatures as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's all relative. Your body gets used to it. Like, give it like 6 months, and you will usually develop an appetite and a tolerance for whatever temperature you're existing in.
Yeah, I went home to South Australia back in end of March, beginning of April.
Mm.
And we got in pretty late, and I stayed with one of my brothers. And he got home from work fairly late, but he desperately wanted to show me the new deck that he'd built out in his backyard. So he towed me outside to show me the deck. And so it's about 11 p.m. in like a coastal South Australian town.
Yes.
It's the coldest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I was prepared. I'm prepared for South Australian bullshittery, so I was layered up to the gills. And then I'm standing there on the deck, and it's like, yeah, so you can see the timber here. I got this from Bunnings. And I'm like, you could tell me all this inside. We could look at it from the kitchen. It was so cold that I was like, how did I live here? This is horrible. I came back to Brisbane and started sweating immediately because I was wearing like 3 layers and a fruit chocs beanie. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna sweat it out. Like, Brisbane is my personal sauna, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. You know, when you said there, oh, my brother built this new deck, I was just like, oh wait, he plays Magic. That is how like Magic pilled I am right now. That I'm just as soon as I hear deck and building, I'm just like, ooh, hello.
I'm going to send a rescue party for you.
Thank you. Please do. It would be greatly appreciated. Save me from my hell.
Yep. If you do like deck building games, though, boy, is there a game coming up soon that you might like, actually. Do you like space and sci-fi and stuff?
Wow, yeah, I sure do, Ren. Please tell me more. Then
you might enjoy Breachway, coming up from Hooded Horse in a little bit.
Disclaimer, Ren is associated with Hooded Horse. This is not well, it might be a genuine endorsement, but there is bias.
There's a little bit of bias. I'm biased towards all Hooded Horse games because I love each and every single one of them.
There's a lot of really good ones.
There's so many. This has been such an incredible year. And honestly, my inbox is just filled with all of our own keys. And I'm like, this is great. Cataclysmo was an absolute banger. I love Cataclysmo.
Is that was that the Castle Defense one?
Yeah. The Siege Defense really cool. RTS. Oh, like, I'm a sucker for a good tower defense, siege defense, and like that nailed it. Individual brick building, and my number one big thing, sound design. Fantastic sound design.
Yes.
But we've got Breachway coming out soon, and it's really lovely and colourful, and the artwork is stunning. It's a roguelike deck builder set in space. So you build a little spaceship, and then you have to fight other little spaceships with your decks.
So it's kind of like FTL, but with deck building.
Yeah, kind of. Cool. Yeah, I'd say that. Splattercat Gaming called it one of the best deck builders of 2024. In an older video that I was watching the other day, just for research.
That's pretty cool. I think one of the best deck building games that I've seen recently is Knock on the Coffin. I think that's what it's called.
I haven't heard of that. Just as a quick disclaimer, I can't remember if that was a Splattercat video. That might have been someone else. So I apologize if I've gotten the content creator wrong. Okay. I deal with a lot of content creators across my day. I'm so sorry. Knock on the Coffin. What is it?
So it's a fantasy themed deck builder, very much in the style of Slay the Spire. Very, very Slay the Spire inspired, which I personally adore. Like, Slay the Spire was one of those games that I do not like the art style for Slay the Spire at all. And it put me off playing it for a very, very long time because I was just like, I just don't like the way it looks. I don't vibe with it. And then I played it. I finally gave it a chance and I played it. I was just like, oh, okay, I get it now. I understand why people rave about how good this game is. But it looks lovely. It has some similar mechanics. It has like a cool little party mechanic. So you can kind of build out a bit of a party to take out with your adventures instead of just having the one hero. Build out your decks, and yeah, it kind of, at that point, it almost becomes a bit of a blend between Darkest Dungeon and Slay the Spire.
I was going to ask if you played Darkest Dungeon, actually.
Yeah, I played the first one a little bit in the lead up to the second one coming out, just so I had a bit of a frame of reference of how the series worked. I want to go back to it and properly finish it and explore it, because I've only played maybe like 7 hours of it. But I have played quite a bit of Darkest Dungeon too, and I really enjoyed that. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people really love the first one and tend to be a little bit more lukewarm about the second one, but I really enjoyed the second one, which is why I want to go back and play the first one more, because at the moment I'm like, I mean, both were good, but I want to find that what is special about Darkest Dungeon. the first one and really kind of find the essence that people are like, this is the best game ever. So yeah,
People say that about any game though, like, and it honestly just reinforces to me that your game may be like, it's like on a scale, right? Like people will love it, they'll think it's great, they'll be like, yeah, it was good. They'll be like, oh, it wasn't really for me, and then there'll be people that flat out hate it.
yes.
And that's just the same. That's just across the board. But I've got to say that gamers are probably the most vocal about their likes and dislikes that I've ever seen. Like I kind of have a foot in two creative industries of gaming and books, and readers just aren't as vocal about bits and pieces. They don't expect the book to be tailored 100% to their tastes,
Sure.
whereas gamers will.
Yes.
And that's like the difference that I found. And you get a lot of Steam reviews. Never read Steam reviews. If I can give any advice to anybody that they might carry with them for the rest of their life, it's never ever read Steam reviews or like the Steam forums. Never venture there. What's that dark shadowy place? We never go there. It's the Steam forums. It is just some very strong-minded individuals who have very direct ways of communicating the aspects in a game that they would like to see.
Yeah, I think it, from my side, like intuitively, I'd imagine the reason for the very different mentalities there is because gaming is so much more an active participant in the experience, whereas reading, you're outside looking in. So you wouldn't necessarily read a book and expect it to be tailored to your, like, what you're wanting to experience. It is just an experience and you're just viewing it, right? Similar to like a movie, although I will say that movie critics also, people have pretty strong opinions about movies and TV shows as well, similar to the gaming sphere.
I don't think they get as fired up. I'll hit back with that.
Depends on the fandom, I would say.
Oh my god, yeah.
Depends on the fandom. But
yeah.
I think because gaming, you are actually participating in the story and the experience itself, it does actually inherently, subconsciously make you and your your subjective experience of that much more important.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if that's the case, but that's just like intuitively when I think about why there might be a different in the mindset.
It's a strong case to make, and it does make a lot of sense, because I have wondered about it for a little while. I'm like, what is so different between gaming and reading? That gaming gets people really fired up, like hatefully fired up with some things. And then you said movies, and then you said depends on the fandoms, and I'm like, oh, yeah, nah, that actually makes sense, hey? It just depends on who it is.
I think it's also interesting as well. One thing that I've kind of become acutely aware of over the last 6 months, and this is due to my experience with Stardew Valley specifically, is that your mindset going into a game has probably one of the biggest impacts on your ability to enjoy that game. Because I picked up and bounced off of Stardew Valley multiple times, because it's a game theoretically on the surface that I should really like. And I picked it up so many times and I'd play it, and I'd just kind of get really stressed and really annoyed that it just wasn't an enjoyable experience for me. And then I'd put it back down again after a couple of hours. And it was because I was going in with this mentality of kind of being at least aware enough of the game to be like, okay, I need to remember people's birthdays to progress the friendship. I need to be able to plant my crops on specific days to make sure they grow before the end of the season. And just kind of getting stuck into that mentality of trying to be optimal when I'm new to a game and I'm never going to be playing optimally, but having enough awareness to be like, I am not playing optimally, and therefore that immediately detracts from my enjoyment of the game. But then when I came back to the game with a kind of a different mindset of just being like, okay, I don't care if I forget somebody's birthday. I don't care if I don't plant the crops on the optimal days. I'm just going to play the game and experience it. And having that mindset turned it from a game that I bounced off of to a game that I could not put down for the last 4 or 5 months. Like, it is absolutely outrageous how much time I spent playing that game, both on stream and off it. I could not stop. But it really drove home to me that, like, maybe these games that I picked up and I've dismissed previously, that I just wasn't kind of approaching with the right mindset that is required to enjoy them, which was interesting for me.
No, I'll completely back you up on that one. As part of my first look at series for YouTube, you can actually see in some of like the videos when I have been really looking forward to trying out a game, and when I have felt like I have to get a video out, so I need to like start up this game. Like my energy is just a bit off in some of them. I would say
Okay.
the Builders of Greece video, I think it's a strong premise for a game. I had issues with the execution, and I kind of felt that way when I went into when I started it up. I start off all like bright-eyed and like, yay, this looks great, and then there was just a couple of telltale signs of like features and stuff that I don't really like, and it just kind of brought me down. I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll get the video out, and it ended up being one of the most viewed videos of this year. So I'm like, you know what, like you just can't predict YouTube, holy shit. No. But it really does come down to like, and there are some games like Station to Station. That shouldn't have been my kind of game because it's a little train puzzle game. Is
unfairly good. Like I adore that game. I do not care for trains at all. I'm not a train guy. I'm not somebody that goes, oh, trains, I like trains. Let's go down to the train station and see the trains. I don't care for trains. But that game is just so well done. The aesthetic is so beautiful. The soundtrack is so lovely. It's just everything comes together in just such a satisfying way. It is fantastic.
You don't like trains?
I don't have any strong opinions about trains. Like I'm just so like, trains.
What about steam trains?
Okay, I didn't realize that I was going to hurt your feelings with that comment.
Trains are so cool.
I didn't know you were a train enjoyer.
Who's not a train enjoyer?
Well, apparently not me. I mean, like, I'm just... I just have no strong opinions about trains. I'm not saying I hate them. I just don't have any strong opinions about them.
You think you know someone, and then turns out every day's a school day.
Okay, wow. What a fantastic way to end off the podcast with just a riff driven betwixt this podcast.
There's drama. There's beef now.
There is beef for the next episode, which we will probably resolve in 2025, 2026. We'll see how we go. So tune in next time to see how that resolves itself. I don't know. We'll see. Leave it on a cliffhanger.
Completely forget. We ain't gonna remember that we're fighting about trains in the next episode. We can't even remember what they're called most of the time. The episode's not trains.
Well, I just hope that this was actually episode 7.
It is, because I recently put up episode 6 on Spotify 8 months late.
That's right, yeah. So if you're listening to this to Spotify 8 months from now, thanks.
I can't be much faster with this time. I completely forgot because I moved house afterwards. Yeah. So don't worry. Episode 7 will be up as soon as we can. Don't stress. Why? If we say it's going to be... Why am I saying this like people are listening live? If they're listening to it, it's up.
True. Good point. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a live streamer by nature. Just want to point that out there.
Fantastic. Well, Ren, who are you and where can people find you?
I don't know. No, I'm ReneeSky on Twitch and YouTube. I'm Renee April in real life. And you can find us, mainly I'm going to point people towards the book. So skynation.info is basically like our landing page for all of our projects. There's the books on there, the merch, the podcasts, including this one, and all of our announcements, including recently we signed the next 2 books in the Method of the Kill series. So if you read Beasts of London, there are going to be sequels and more of those books coming. They are on their way. John is thrilled. The reception has been great. And I stream twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays at twitch.tv/ReneeSky. What about yourself?
I have been BloodyDrongo. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube as BloodyDrongo, on X/Twitter as @TheBloodyDrongo. And I stream 4 days a week, and I also do art and voice acting as well. And I've got a couple of projects in the works too, so stay tuned for that.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening and enjoying this biannual podcast from Tea and Tales from myself and Ren. I thought you were going to chime in there at the end, but that's okay. We'll see you next time.
You were doing so well.
Perfect. Well, you just had a look on your face that you wanted to say something. We're waving. Bye. Bye, everybody.
I straight up nearly hung up the call accidentally.
Nailed it.